This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Good everybody. Good I think that I want to start first with just want to share. I'm sure all of us would love to stand up and share our emotions from Satu Shabbos. It's so inspiring and everything, and just being. But I think the greatest inspiration is sitting together with so many people that are at our age that are ready to hear and change. Like, imagine you hang up a poster and you say, like, you know, we're creating a group where we're going to tell you everything you did till now, or something else is wrong, and we're going to switch around. We're going to change your whole life. Whatever your parents told you till now, which nobody would come into that convention. It would just never happen. But our situations pulled us right in here, and we're all doing it so graciously. We're waiting with Semaim. If you're able to on the Shabbos afternoon have that the panel over there and have a few hundred people in one room, and it should be quiet. And even the solution was there, was quiet. Everybody was quiet. It was almost amazing. I mean, by even the as a solution, because by Simchas, you're not going to, you know, Shad. So, today's topic we're going to talk about. Basically, we're going to talk about the kips, but we're going to be talking more about the siblings, the skips, and the rest of the family, and the future of Chinuch, of Klal Yisrael, what we learned from all the teachings and everything that we learned in the last 10 years, or maybe less. I mean, throughout of dealing with kips. By the way, the word kips would not fly a couple of years ago.
Very cool. Very interesting. I love it.
It would not fly. It would not fly a couple of years ago. It just wouldn't fly. To call a kid in pain, it was off the derech, and there was nothing doing. We all know that the Tachlis Abriya, the reason why Hashem created the world, is when we look into the Svarim, we start most Svarim are based on the Ramchal, where he says, B'derech hatoiv lahaitav. Hashem created the world because the nature of good is to do good. If Hashem is good, if you can be great. If you're not sharing your greatness, if you don't have you can have a good heart, but if nobody gets anything from you, you're not sharing your good heart, that's not being a good heart. It's like having a good guitar. If nobody plays it, it's there, it's just sitting there. So you have to have someone to play the guitar. You have to have someone that's actually doing it. So Hashem created the other, He created the world, and He created us, He created humans that have a Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Tov, that we should have Bechira, we should be able to choose and have choice. And by choosing to do the right thing, we get schar, we get closer to Him, and that was the ultimate goal, is to give good. He wants us at the end game, we should all end up in Gan Eden. He wants the end game is to catch us doing something right, not to catch us doing something wrong. I had one of the kips that I was dealing with, and he said, like, his whole image on Gehenna, the way he perceived it, he grew up in Chayden, and he was being told that. So I thought, it seemed to him like Hashem is like a big barbecue in Shemayim, and He's waiting for us to do an Averu, like the guy's it's gonna fall through. Now we're gonna have someone to put into Gan Eden. Like he can't wait to catch you doing something wrong. Some people have that perception, but there's the opposite. The Tachlis Abriya and Derech hatoiv lahaitav is to at the end goal is to give us good. So why did He give us a Yetzer Hara? He could give us only Yetzer Tov. We should do good. But then we're robots. It's called Nahama D'Chsifa. Or it would be like a puppet, like someone puts in a what's it called, the puppet show, and he talks to himself. He says, "I am great," and you're like, what is it? Ventriloquist is the one that says the same words, right? But in general, just make a puppet show, right? Whatever, yeah. So it's nothing from it. But if the puppet is part of him, then it's nothing doing. If the puppet is able to decide not to praise the king, and he does choose to praise, then it's not a puppet. It's an individual. So Hashem created us in this world that we should be individuals that are able to choose to do good or bad. How many of our kids, seemingly, it looks like they don't have choice. The Taka don't have choice. Or at least they don't have choice in the same place that other people have. But still, the goal is that every person should end up choosing right of wrong, and once you choose right, derech hatoiv, As lahaitiv, then you know your end game was Tachlis Abriya. So the Tachlis Abriya is the greatest key, the greatest tool, the greatest thing that we have is that we are able to choose right from wrong. Everybody in their own situation, in different places, but at the end of the day, every person for themselves knows where they have their Bechira, where they're able to choose right from wrong. In Chinuch, people, we try, or at least we tried until now, we tried getting our children in a place where they don't have to make choices even. We are going to make the choices for them. So little kids, it makes sense. You have a little kid, you don't want them to be exposed to the world, or to be friends with little kids that are talking profanity or different words. We're isolating our kids in a certain sense. We want them to grow up to do the right thing. So chinuch, until now, means that I am keeping my children away from being exposed to the bad things in the world. The problem is that only works until you're 13 years old. Once you're 13, you mechiv a girl's 12, boy 13. You have the ability to start making your own choices. But in our system, in the ultra Chassidish system a little more, regular Chassidish system less, but in the Haredi world, in all of us, the Haredi world is that we are still trying that our children, even when they're 19, 20, to keep them away from a place where they can make their own choices. We are constantly giving our children Shmira, or Shmura. We're giving them Shmira. We're keeping them away. We don't want them to be exposed to all the narishkeit in the world. We're constantly trying to work to bring them to a place where they cannot choose right from wrong. We're taking away their Bechira. That's basically what we're doing. We are choosing for them. I went to the glasses store just a few weeks ago, and I bought myself new glasses. And there was a lady standing there, very, very Hasidic lady, with her son, which was about 18, 19 years old. And I hear her arguing with him, and she tells him, "This is Tzimederen, Deglezer." And she's telling him, "No, this is too Hasidic, this is too Mederen," like a whole. And she says, "You're going to go into Shidduchim soon. You can't wear glasses like that." It seemed to me that he was a little fine schmecky. He wanted to have a little more updated glasses, and I'm thinking to myself, this kid is 18 years old. If you trust him to get married soon, he can't choose his own glasses. You don't trust him that advice. So, in certain communities, in the ultra Chaimish communities, they control the children even after the chasana. I have couples coming to me from very isolated communities in New York, and they're telling me that they have shalom bayis issues because her father told her that your husband became a Dedan. I don't know, he put on loafer shoes instead of lace shoes. I'm not sure exactly where the limits are. And the cuffs, I don't know if you know the cuff story. You know the cuffs? Okay. So cuffs on the pants. You ladies, you don't know about this whole story.
Are they more fancy or less fancy?
Oh. So when I was a teenager, it used to be that whoever didn't have cuffs on the pants was a medei in the bucher. So you had to have cuffs. And then it became modern not to have them. So by now it's very confusing. So I'm not sure where it's up to. But in every family it's under the zach. I had this chusen called, I'm a chusen teacher also, so I'm learning with this chusen, and he's telling me that he went to the store, he wanted to buy a talis. And his mother came along to the talis store, to the swarm store, and he wanted to buy himself a thinner talis, and she said, "It's some mesoira, stavzan adika talis Shabbos." And the whole fight, he's a chusen, he's getting married, a whole fight that you're going off the mesoira, you're taking a thinner talis, mesoira and a talis. So certain people are trying to control or to help and to be mechanech their kids even after their chasana. Someone told me he's 50 years old. He said, "My father still tells me what to do." Okay. Some parents, only until they got married, my parents never told me a word since I got married. I'm lucky ever. Neither did my in-laws. But some people are till then. A person goes into a grocery nowadays. You want to buy ketchup. How many ketchups do you have in America? I don't know about Manchester, or in Chicago. You go into Muncie or in Borough Park, there are 12 or 15 types of ketchup. Every company, one is bigger, one is smaller, different prices, different qualities, different labels. You have to make choices. 25 types of herring, now for sure. And we have so many choices that we need to make in our life. even on minute things, just shopping. In the olden days, in my days, when I used to go to the store, there was the choo-choos and the 3 types of candies, and there was jelly beans, as old as I am. So I don't know people older than me. Maybe it was already in those days. And 5 types of cereal that were kosher. And there was nothing. There's choices. I think the greatest gift you could give to your child is to learn how to make choices. Smart choices in everything in life. If we know how to make a choice, decisions, our life is easier. There are so many people sitting around, this way and that way. They come to me, our daughter should go to this camp, that camp, but they get so confused on how do you make choices, because they were never given the opportunity. I have my little kids on Pesach and Nafshi Koyman, right? So I have the last few years, we give them amount of money, $30 a child, maybe $30 now before inflation, after inflation probably $50 every child. We take them to whichever store they want. Okay, obviously they want the toy store. My wife goes along with them, and they could choose whatever they want within that budget. So one kid takes off walkie-talkies, and obviously the boy. The girl takes off her doll, and probably not, but whatever, yeah. And my wife tells him, okay, you could buy this, you could buy something else. Another kid takes, no, I'm going to take 5 small things. If you buy this toy is going to break probably within the next few days. If you want, you can buy it. But I'm telling you, rather buy this one or this one. This is going to last longer. Helping them making a choice, but at the end, it's your money. You do whatever you want. So this kid comes home. 3 days later, his toy is broken. I'm not giving him another $30. So he learned. He had a consequence. Life taught him something. That if you buy something that's junk, it's not going to last and it's going to break. And the other kid, and he sees his other brother playing with the other toy for 3 weeks, and they never last too long. Oh, they lose it over the batteries, or something happens. But we give our children choices according to their age. I remember when we grew up, we are 6 boys and 1 girl, but it was a boy, girl, and then me and then 5 other. We always matched. It's nice, my mother likes to match us. But there was always Shlomi that wanted to have a different. I was very self-conscious. I wanted to wear something else. There was no such thing. Everybody had to come in with the green corduroy pants and had to match with. And I was scared that my friends are going to think green corduroy pants are off. It's not socially accepted, and I didn't want to wear it. Of course, I made sure to tear it within a few days by the knees, and it had to be replaced. Or a certain shoe that my mother didn't understand the nuance that in this cheder, I learned in the Chassidische cheder, you can't have it. She used to tell me, all shoes are black. This shape and that shape. It's very. So we give choices to our children, but within as long as it matches with their age. So my wife could come to them and say, you could wear any of these 3 things. But not that the kid could come and say, I want to go with a dress to school. You have to always have. So we're teaching them to make choices, to make smart choices. And then later in life, when they come to adult life or teenage life, they learn how to make real smart choices on very important things in life. There are consequences in life. Some people make money and they spend it, they all just learn how to save. All my kids have piggy banks. I'm very into teaching them about money. Not that money is important. I'm not teaching that money is more important than life. No. But money is an important thing in life, and you need to learn how to save. This kid saved $10 and he went to spend it. I said, no, are you sure you want to spend it already? Maybe wait another week. We make different deals with them. He'll have $20. So, he bought a bigger toy. He bought something smaller. We're constantly teaching them to make smart choices, to learn and to feel what choices means. How about Yiddishkeit choices? Oh, I can't do that. Yes, you can. I have 3 little boys. One of them is 10, 8, and 6. One of them does not like to come to Shul with me. And I always tell him, you should know, it's such a privilege to daven to Hashem. There's so few people in the whole world that are Jews. And from the Jews, how many daven? Millions of maluchim are waiting for you to say Baruch At Hashem, regardless of your age. But if you're not ready, you do not have to come. My wife sometimes sounded like, he's getting older. And guess what? One day, a couple of weeks ago, that kid started coming from the beginning to the end. Sits near me, and he wants to daven. Every now and then I take a different piece and I explain to him the taich. And I explain to him who said this, and the Lichodoidi, when it started, just a few years ago, in Tzvas, there was a little bit of information. He should know what davening is all about. When he's ready. You have to be ready. So what happens is, chinuch really is about teaching the children how to make choices, how to be smart and to make choices. Of course, we still have to have some Shmura. So there's Shmira and there's Bechira. Some people never are mechanech their kids. They tell them what to do. They keep them off the streets. They make sure that they don't talk to this one or to that friend, and they make sure that they don't, because this house has a video machine, and this house, every family on their own way, trying to make shmira. Don't do this. Don't look that. Don't. They're controlling them in a certain way, but they're not teaching them what life is all about and how to make choices and to understand that there are consequences of doing foolish things. There's always something that you could explain. When it comes to making a decision, right? The natural thing is, let's say you want to make a decision if you want to buy it, if you want to go away for Shabbos or not. So how do we usually do it? We say, I'm going to go for Shabbos, I'm going to gain this, but maybe I shouldn't go because then the kids are not going to have where to go. So I should go, but I shouldn't. We go back and forth, right? We do that naturally. We start thinking back and forth. I teach my children, when you make a decision, you first make one of the two, or why you should do something, or why you should not, but the whole list. Don't go back and forth. And I show it on my palm of my hand, and I say, this is the yay and this is the nay, let's say. Give me a list of all the reasons why you should go there, or why you should buy. Why you should buy this product, or you shouldn't. Why you should go, why you shouldn't go. All the reasons why you should. All the yes. Okay, I'm going to go, you're going to gain this. Okay, what else are you going to gain? Okay, this. And why should you do it? And then you turn over the page, and you start writing all the no's, why you should not. Usually, by the time you're filling out the second part of the sheet, you're very clear what you want to do. In life, this is such an important life skill that I learned only later, so why shouldn't I give it to my kids? And I watch them doing it. This is so easy. Even my little ones, I have a whole stack of them, all ages, but you watch the little ones saying, and they're thinking all the yes. Why we should do it, what am I going to gain, what is it good for, and then why I should not, and what happens is such clarity. And the same thing is when it comes to Yiddishkeit, and I think that this is also a very important thing to separate. There's the Bashert and there's the Shtadlis, right? We all know, and this is one of the questions that was asked today. Where is the Shtadlis and where is Bashert? So I have so many couples come to me, Shalom Bayis, a huge chunk of the issues are money, right? Monetary issues, and he should take a night job, he should work a night, he should work in the morning, he should do that. He's not doing enough, she's not doing enough, she should work, he should work. It's a ganze, should we do this, should we not? It's a ganze, and he says, what do you mean, I'm doing geshtadlis, I'm not mechuv to do more. If Hashem wants, he can, and he has 100 stories proving that you don't have to work more, you don't have to do or anything in life. And then the other says, what do you mean, if you don't do, you have, and she also has 100 stories what you should do, you have to do extra, this tzaddik did extra, and that one, and everybody brings their eyes. How does it work? Bashert from Shemayim, and knowing when you've done enough, when you've done the Shtadlis versus Bashert. People go to doctors for certain situations, and they go, they didn't enough Shtadlis, the Eibush to help them. And the other guy says, why don't we run to more? So it's endless trying to do something. And it's endless to say, I'm not doing anything, I'm just relying on Hashem. I'm just Eibush to help. I got a brucha from the tzaddik, I davened over here, I said 40 days Shira Shirim, and Hashem is going to help. So how does that work? So I always say the same thing with the palm. I say, let's do everything that makes sense. Let's say we want to buy a house, an investment property, or whatever it is, and let's talk practical. Are we able to do it? How much money is it going to cost? Talk to the lawyers, talk to the mortgage brokers, get to the bottom of the... Nothing bashert over here. Comes to doing shidduchim. Everybody uses the word shidduchim bashert when it comes to shidduchim. It's bashert. Why it's so much easier, right? Because you never get to the bottom of things 1,000,000%. So you say it was bashert. I always tell people, I don't want to hear the bashert word until the l'chaim. It's not bashert yet. Once it happened, the shidduch is bashert. Until then, you have to do the maximum hishtadlus of finding out information, making sure your child knows what they're looking for, make sure you know who he or she is marrying to, make sure they meet up enough times, make sure you're doing everything hishtadlus, zero bashert. Don't mention Hashem's name now, please. It's up to you. Once the shidduch happened, you take all the papers, you tear it up, you take the magnifying glass, you break it out. It's the best shidduch, it's bashert, because it happened already. So don't confuse bashert while you're doing hishtadlus. Not when it comes to parnasa, going into a business. Yeah, you're sitting there through the meeting like a half an hour and deciding we should do a business deal, and you go into it. The Eibster tells you, you're going to see, and I make sure to wash malka. Alles Zayashan, it's all true, and it's alles emes Sachen. We're Maminim ben Maminim. Hashem is Taka, the one that's actually doing the shidduchim, and Hashem is Taka, the one actually that's giving us panusa. But Hashem wants us to do our part. And our part is the same when it comes to doing decisions back and forth. Don't do back and forth. A whole list. Practical. Does it make sense? Does it make sense what I'm going to do now with my kip? We're doing this, we're doing that. Afterwards we say, let's turn over the page, let's go to the bashert side. We're going to start saying Tehillim that it should work out. We're going to go take brachas from tzaddik. Whatever you want to do. You could say you're going to be mispal, and you're going to say whatever is going to happen is anyway up to Hashem. Yes, of course. A yid has to do both. You can't just do one. But you have to first be practical. Yiddishkeit is not Yiddishkeit is not practical. It's not Yiddishkeit. It has to make sense. But going back and forth is something that's always going to confuse us. When I talk to a person and they said, "Yeah, it was bashert. And let's put bashert in a minute. Let's talk. Let's man to man. Let's talk like let's talk." Does it make sense or doesn't it make sense? This is all coming from a place where people we're confused. We don't know how to when it comes to making choices, when it comes to deciding on things. We're constantly going back and forth, and I think that this is confusing us the most. So if you come over here for Shabbos and you meet up with a professional of your liking, Baruch Hashem, there's a whole lot of us, and you discuss it and you make a decision, or by sitting with 2 or 3, and you go home, you sit down with your spouse, you make a decision. This is how we're going to deal with this kid. This is what we're going to do. This is the practical stuff. This makes sense. You go home, you follow, you do what you have to do. Of course, you have to turn over the page and be mispalan and ask Hashem and give tzedakah, whatever you can in the Rachnisdige place that Hashem should help, that it should go faster than planned and better than planned, and you shouldn't have to. It should be a Nes Gulin. All of you should be Nisim Gilim. We should all go home with Nisim. We should all be shocked. But we need to have a practical plan. So if making choices is something that we need every single day in our life, from going to the grocery and from which gas station to buy gas. I just spoke to someone. He's a Galician Yid. I don't know if you know what a Galician Yid is. They come from the Haim, a very poor place. They're extremely stingy by nature. Polish, Galician is even more. And this guy I know him. He owns a minimum of 80 properties that I know of. And he tells me I get a stomach ache when I take gas on the 17 and I pass by the next gas station. It's 2 cents less a gallon. I get a stomach ache.
I think this happens only to rich people, right?
Only to rich people. Maybe that's why they became rich. That's what he tells me. That's what became rich. He saved all these pennies. But people talk as is a mention. But you know what? What's the problem? The problem is not the stingy part. It's okay. Mazaid used to say there's in Yiddish word, there's do spuren, there's do saving. It's the spuren in kark. You could save. Saving is a good thing. Being stingy is something else. The saving is stingy, spuren in kark. But that's not the problem. The problem is that people have buyer's regret. What is it called? After they buy something. Buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse. Why? What does that come from? Because in the first place, when they made that decision, was not based on the clarity. Clarity is key to success in every way, shape, or form. So the most important thing is to learn how to make decisions, how to separate and make klurkat. This is right, this is wrong. Let's do first yay or nay, whatever, constantly goes. I wanted to share with you a story. I had this single man that came to me from a guy from Lakewood. It's a while ago. He got remarried, and the wife had a big kid, and he made a big decision back and forth. I was not involved at the time. I was only got involved after he got married, and he wanted to marry this woman, but she had a boy. Okay, he took this kid in. This kid was in his way on a daily basis. You get married to a new wife, you want privacy, and you want to be able to, to live together. And then, he's always in the kitchen, and he's always in the dining room, he's always sitting on the couch. there's no shuna d'shayna. It was, and he developed a hate to this child. And that's when he reached out to me. Mamash, a hate. He said when he heard his name, or he saw this kid, he came a little too late to me, but at least he came, he broke it. And he was mamish, and I tried working with him, to be retroactive. If he would have made a decision properly, knowing exactly what he's going into, speak to a few professionals, talk to people that have done blending families, not blending because he didn't have any children, just see that if he would know what he's getting into, there wouldn't be any hate, but Lamasa was done that way. I have no option, and he told me, it's starting to make me feel resentment towards my wife. When she's nice to him, I feel like he's taking away from me. He was so honest. His deepest insecurities, and he opened every folder in his head. I appreciate when someone is real and echt. This was his issue. Till I did the same thing with him. I said, let's make a list of every reason why you hate this kid. So I made a few columns. He takes away my privacy. He takes this. What does certain parts in your brain say? I tell you, should I tell you really what I think of sometimes? I wish he doesn't wake up in the morning. But because it could be the least sad from, like he's talking about everybody, we all have parts. He was talking about every single part. I loved it. He was honest. He was sharing every single reason why he does not like this kid, and this kid is never going to like it. We wrote 3 columns, 50 things, 50 items.
How old was the child?
I don't know, 4 or 5 years old, a little kid. But he was writing to me. Okay? But he was, in between, he kept on going back, no, but he's also good. I said, no, that's soon. We're doing that later. We're not talking about the good parts yet. And he started again, but he does Rachmunus also, there's other part to him, right? This is just the insecure one. I said, no, we're going to get there soon. And he said, okay, I didn't have anything. I said, no, we're writing 10 more things. And he was thinking, and also because of that. And I remember my brother Simcha, and he came, he wanted to be in the pictures. And I'm wondering that in 10 years from now, when we're going to have children together, they're going to be exposed and they're going to know that he's from a different husband. Like, it's going on and on. We finished that side of the paper. He needed a coffee and a drink. I took a walk with him. We came back into the office. I said, let's do the other thing. Tell me any goods that this boy brought in your marriage. I can't think of anything. 3 things. Started saying, if my wife wouldn't have this child, she would never marry me. I come from a crazy home. My father's a known person running the streets of Michigan. My mother is this. My siblings are this. This girl is coming from a phenomenal family and everything else. I started writing. I said, what happens when you compliment that kid? Does it bring you closer to your wife? He says, she lights up. When there's a hard moment at home, I'm nice to the kid. I have 2 seconds. I'm able to rekindle our harmony at home, our love at home in seconds. Writing. We wrote 3 pages of 3 columns. He called me up a few days later. He said, Shlomi, I love this kid. And by the way, he sent me a text that he had a child with her. Why am I sharing this? These are gifts that in school we're not taught how to make choices, how to separate things, how to decide and divide. You know they say divide and conquer? You're fighting something, divide it. If you could write down and settle of all the good that your kip is giving you. You know I'm getting there, but this had to be.
I think we could all do it.
We have it at home. We have that kid that this guy had. It's just not it's our own kid. Write down lists and lists of all the goods. Maybe you should write with all the pain you have first. And while you're writing the pain, don't write anything about the good you have. Any advantage, any pleasure, nothing. Just all the tsar that you're having from this child. A list and a list and a list and a list and a list. You do both lists, you're going to love this kid so easy. You're not going to need half of the speeches here. You're going to come home every day and kiss up that kid. If we're lucky, if they're home. I want to share it with you a few Shabbatons back that when I lost a child, with my second marriage, we lost a child, 16 months old baby. She didn't wake up Shabbos morning, 11 years ago. We were sitting Shiva, and my wife was telling me, she's amazing, she says, let's write a list of all the good things that came along with this Nisayan. I wasn't sure if I want to start with that list or the other list, but we said, okay, let's do this. We're going to write everything that we write. If 3 out of these 3 things would be missing, it would have been 1,000 times harder. Throughout the Shiva, hundreds of people coming, right? And we went into our room, started writing. We wrote 100 items. As simple things as, if my wife would have, well, I've said, if I would have fed the baby had to die. She was 16 months old, she had to pass away. Imagine she would have passed away while I'm feeding her and she choked. I would have had guilt all my life. Write it down. She was our second child together, second marriage. Imagine she would have been our first child, it would have been 1,000,000 times harder. Write it down. The other kids were not home that Shabbos, it was Shabbos morning. So they didn't see the trauma, they didn't see the whole thing. It was a very traumatic scene over there. Write it down. We were writing and writing and writing and writing. That Friday, this happened on Shabbos Friday, I was in Home Depot. And I called up my wife and I said there was skits of carbon monoxide detectors. And I said, we just bought the house a few years before. Do we have a carbon monoxide detector home? I don't know, I'll buy one. I bought one, I stuffed in a battery right before Shabbos, I put it on top of the fridge. The first thing when the police came, they called Orange Rockland in the fire department to check if there's carbon monoxide. And they said, you don't have a carbon monoxide detector. So I was thinking to myself, I said, 1 minute, I just got one. It's right on top of the fridge. Oh, okay. I would have lived in guilt forever that maybe the baby, Lamas was cribbed that, but till 18 months, they say, she was 16 months old. And we wrote that down. Carbon monoxide detector. Everything. No, our child did not come back home. Didn't happen. But we were living in a different world after writing that 100 things. Yeah, we were talking about all the tsar and all the... We had years to talk about that. There's nothing like it. This is called separating. Emotionally separating. Even in Ais Tzura, even in a good time, you write down, you separate, or you talk about it at least. You share and you separate. It's dividing and conquer. It's all about Bechira, it's all about right and left. Human is small, right and left. Yemim Mekarev, it's always considered right and left. We need to always have and separate things. We're able to get such clarity. Anytime you need to make a decision about your kid, you decide who's the person that you're going to discuss it with. And then you write down all the pros and the cons. Why should we choose? Should we not? But we should. But maybe we shouldn't. But that's gonna. And then when you make the decision, knowing that you mamish have all the reasons, all the yeas and all the nays, you don't look back. You don't have buyer's remorse. You don't look back on any decision you ever made. And if we could give this to our children, this gift, you're giving them a great gift. And how about skips? A sibling of a kip. If we could sit down with them, and I do it, I sit with my kids, and with children you got to do many times. And I don't do the older ones with the younger ones at the same time. Certain ages, we sit down and we write together. Well, we discuss, I don't always write. What tsar do you have from having? I'm embarrassed, I go to school and I know, and this person and that one. And my teenagers telling me that one day came with yeshiva, there was a kipka, like a kipka, people swinging, and they walked in there all the time and he heard them talking about their siblings, such bishas, and we're crying about it. And then I said, Chevra, before we get up, let's write down a few good things. Can't be any good things. So let's try. And when they stand up, they love that sibling. They're able to mamish love their sibling. Because first of all, they're validated. It was clear, it's organized, and they had every reason. And I don't let jump to the good parts. Totally first the bad, then the good. Sometimes the opposite. But mamish makes it so much easier. It's at andere Welt. You're able to separate and see how to make. And the Chassidus Surim is called Chalukim. It's always talking, conquering the Yitzhar is also the same idea. There's a cheshbon with your averis, a cheshbon with your mitzvahs. We were told that if you do averis with, you're a Baal Avera, and you're going to go daven now, you're doing this, and you spoke Lashon Hara, and now you're still going to give tzedakah, and it's sheker. It's two separate cheshbonos. And all the Chassidus Surim talk about it again and again. I'm sure other Sfurim as well. As I said already, the Badit Shveruf writes a few times in the Sefer, Kedushas Levi. If a person did the biggest Aved in the world, and a minute later there's a mitzvah to be done, he says, I'm not going to do this mitzvah, who am I? He says, this is Apakarsis. Even the mitzvahs and averos, you always have to separate. There's two separate things. We are all tzaddikim. I struggle with this. I struggle with that. The Marnaim says, Tam to Bashem Tov, he says an interesting thing. He says, he says, you should love your fellow Yid just like you love yourself. He says, what does that mean? You love yourself knowing that I'm a good guy. I have a problem. I suffer from jealousy. I have a problem. I suffer from kubit, but I'm a good person. I can suffer from chaos, but I'm a good person. He says the same thing do with another person. Separate their good themselves from their bad deeds. See another deed. Separate them from their deeds. And if we could do this with our kips, and we could sit with the skips and tell them this Torah, and say there are two cheshbainas. A person could be a Mechal Shabbos, and this same person could be the greatest Baal Tzedukah, and this person could be unbelievable, and about that we have to try, when it comes to ourselves, we have to try the max, as much as we can. When it comes to others, separate them from their deeds. This is chinuch. So hopefully, in the years to come, we're going to have Bechira way over Shmura when it comes to chinuch. Our children are being exposed to every single thing in the world. I deal with Bucherim from the most Hasidic yeshivas, top elite yeshivas, Bechira Mansi, from every crowd, from Litvish to Hasidic. I'm telling you, I know these boys come to me, or I should help to build their self-esteem. The manalim send them to me. When they're sitting in my office, after once or twice, they feel comfortable. They start telling me how many TV shows and episodes are being sent around between the yeshivas, this little tiny SD cards. You know, with the big payers, their parents have no clue what they're seeing. So their parents are still busy giving shmira. You're not allowed to go with the taxi because there was a story with the taxi. You shouldn't go there because you're going to... So the more the world is getting open, the more shmira they're giving to, certain places become more isolated, more closed, the more the world is opening. Instead of teaching them how to choose to be a Yid. We say every day by davening, Haboicher ba'am Yisrael be'ahavu. Hashem chooses us with love. Who does He choose? Just a few years ago, it was so easy. You lived in the shtetl, or even in America till a few years ago. I grew up in Borough Park. I didn't even know what a goy is ever. The guy that cleaned the yeshiva, the pulled down the tablecloth, he was a goy. When did I say a goy? I don't know anything about a goy. I grew up in Mamish in the Haimische community, in the Yiddish community. Nobody's living in the Yiddish community anymore. Of course we are, and Baruch Hashem, it's great, but we need to, the walls are shattered. There's no walls around us. We are lucky that we know what our kids are up to, at least somewhat. We know that they need help. I'm much more worried for these bucherim that come to me, and the parents don't know, and I would never share with the parents if I know that the parent is, besides, a word is a word, even if the kid is younger, under 18. Because if I know the guy was, if the parents are going to know about it, they're going to destroy this kid, rather than not tell them. These are like traumas that are not treated. Someone told me, a big askan over here in Eretz Yisrael, he said in Beit Shemesh, he spoke to the phone company, I don't know who does the cell phones, if it's Bezek or a different company, I don't know how many people live in Beit Shemesh, he says double the amount of subscribers and cell phones they have over there. That means everybody has 2 cell phones. I know, I'm a WhatsApp Rebbe. I have a huge following on WhatsApp. I know exactly what's happening in Eretz Yisrael. I was by the Koisel yesterday, Thursday morning. How many people came to me? Shema Aleichem, I can't. I think, whoa, where did they? If they know me, it's only through WhatsApp. What's the problem? In Eretz Yisrael and Beit Shemesh, or in Yerushalayim, if you have a smartphone and you want to put a filter, your children are out of school. So all of them have a smartphone in this pocket. In this pocket they have the flip phone and no filter. The Yetzer Hara is a genius. No filter. I remember many years ago I went for training on dealing with drugs, because when I started dealing with teens, and he told me, I want to come to yeshivas. He's a guy, he said, he himself was over the whole, I want to come to yeshivas. I said, what do you mean? As long as there's not even 1% of boys that are on weed, why do you need to come expose them? Like in the public schools they're teaching them about safe, well, why are you teaching them the stuff? Why are you exposing? If there would be 80% of bucherim that are, or even 50% or 40% of bucherim that are exposed to drugs, then you come, you teach them how not to get fooled, and don't just start with a brownie. It's not a brownie, it's not a jelly, and if you know there's a bubble gum. Just by the way, very sad story, I had a younger man that called me that I was a Schusen teacher many years ago, and he went to Flatbush with his wife on a Shabbos Kiddush, and his wife collapsed when they came home. She ate it was not a brownie, it was a bubble gum, whatever name it was called. Huh?
It's a kiddush, a jelly.
At the kiddush, a jelly, but it took her 6 weeks. She had to be flushed of blood when the ganze mass. It was crazy, and they got back. This single man is ready to sue whoever it was, but it had like I don't know the numbers, but no. There was 250 milligrams, whatever it was. Like it's like 10 joints at once. So basically, if Baruch Hashem, the world is not there yet. Almost not there yet. But if we come to a place where it's readily available, even for people that are not the junkies, there are no junkies, but let's just for conversation purposes, then we're going to have to educate all of us, right? A brownie that doesn't look brown, right? So we don't want to expose kids to things. But if you know that in every yeshiva, I don't work with girls that much, I work with boys, but I'm sure it's the same thing with the girls. Then maybe you should have a Magachi coming up and talking about the world. Why we shouldn't watch movies? And if you end up watching a movie, there's a huge difference between rated R and rated PG-13. PG-13 is rated R already. I don't even know it's mamish. But at least they should know the difference. So you have to start teaching the world, the kids, our children, the next generation, on making smart choices and choosing to be a Yid and choosing Hashem over everybody else. So that means that we need to start telling them why they should be a Yid. That we should be able to say Haboicher b'Hashem b'Yahavu v'Havta es Hashem Elokechu with the ganze Herz. Hashem chooses us, and then we say Shema, and then we say V'Havta Hashem Elokechu right back. But if our children don't know why they're Yidden, they don't know why they should daven. If Hashem, how many people ask me, these buchim come in and they say, "What darf ich davenen? My yeshiva daven the ashu and a halb shachris, hour and a half shachris in the morning. So long that tefillin hurts me already." What are these Magachidim thinking? Every bucher is up to that level, and again, and he doesn't even know why. He says, "So they ask me questions. They always ask me. Magachi said you can ask me whatever you want. Why do I need to daven if Hashem knows my problems? Do I need to tell him? Do I need to beg him? Is the ego involved?" I start telling them what tefillah is all about and what davening. I never knew and didn't even know the touch. We need to start teaching our children Bechira. Bechira means that you're teaching them all the reasons why they should do it, all the good, everything that's happening. They should choose. Who do you think Mashiach is going to come to? To robots? He's not going to come to robots. That's why Hashem created the internet today. I don't know. I'm not in Shemayim, but I'm thinking. He created a world when all of us, plus all of our children, and our future children even more, to choose Hashem every moment of every day. We are choosing. In the old days, if someone wanted to do an Aveira, he had to travel a mile. It's all at our fingertips. You could do a chesed, like every Shabbos, a friend said, "My sister's marrying, go, $36 for," right? In a second, what do you do? We're doing chesed by moving the finger like this. And we can do the biggest Aveiras by moving the finger like this. You could hurt someone with a text. You could hurt someone by forwarding a text. If this is the case, I want to see every Rav and every Shil, before lining, giving a shir, how to deal with WhatsApp. How not to have WhatsApp. Wake up. Yes, 80% of Klal Yisrael has WhatsApp, if not more. Face it. I know how many people have WhatsApp in Muncie, because they're all following me. How many people come and give a Shalom Aleichem, and then someone asked a guy, Kesher, not recently, I can tell a million stories in my head, and he said, "Vi can't stay with I watch a Shir Amatar anytime." I go into my car, sends me a text, I watch your status every day, Shkoyach, have the lanke pies. Everybody has WhatsApp, and there's no Shi'irim how to deal with WhatsApp. We're almost like Bet Shemesh, that you could destroy someone's parnasa by forwarding that I just went to this glasses store and I didn't like the glasses. Within a week, that guy, people are not walking to the store. You're destroying families. Lashon Hara on the internet, the chesed on the internet, even more, a million times more. You send a message to your Alta Baba, to your Mima, to your neighbor. How you doing? It's Erev Shabbos. Huh?
They don't have WhatsApp.
Takips. Bechira means that we face reality and we teach how to make choices and why they should want to make the choice. Why should someone choose Yiddishkeit? I want to share with you a story. Someone reached out to me recently. Well, not recently. To me recently is a year or two ago. He said that my son is dating, got engaged to a shiksa. Shem Yirachem. Maybe you could talk to my son to get him to drop this girl. So I gave you my number. He's a modern Orthodox person living in Reiswe. He's a doctor, he tells me. I told him, my son, you're the last option we have. And Rav in Flatbush gave my number, fine. I said, listen, I want you to know that if this boy is going to come to me, I'm a chassidische guy. I have a beard, I'm a chassidische person, but if he has no issue talking to me, this boy walks into my office as tall as this. He sits down and said, yeah. You're like, I've been to Aish. I know all this stuff. I'm not interested in Yiddishkeit. I love this girl. It's a done deal. I said, great. I'm a very curious person. I don't know if you did some research on me. I love knowledge. I would love to know your perspective on Yiddishkeit, your perspective on Hashem and Torah. You convinced me. Let's start going with the whole conversation. And I didn't use. I was trained by Esha Torah many years ago. My mother's first cousin, Rabbi Mati Berg, is one of the big. I used to go there, Shirim and everything. I took my training, so I knew nothing touching those arguments. Zero, nothing from Noach Weinberg, nothing. I went total different direction. One after the other. Yeah, Sudo Shefer. But I love this girl. I love her. I'm never gonna. Hashem sent me a beautiful story a few days before. A Yid tells me a story, and it was mamash amazing. What's the story? The Kapizhin Rebbe in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, there was a Kapizhin Rebbe, was one of the greatest tzaddikim that survived the Holocaust, survived without his wife and kids, but people used to, Rabban Kotler used to always take bruchas from him. He never traveled without taking a brucha from him. Rabban Kotler, the Masnagid, always took bruchas from the Heilig Tzaddik. So this Rebbe was saying that he was in the barracks over there, he was in Auschwitz, and there was people came for bruchas and stuff, and he said that one person came, and he said in the next barrack there was trains coming in from different countries. So they brought him from Germany, Yidden from Germany, and this one German Yid is crying and pulling his hair 24/7, and nobody could calm him down. Rebbe, maybe you could talk to him. So he says, bring him to me. Comes to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe says, what's the problem? My wife, my kids. He says, all of us. They took all of our wives, our kids. They took everything. We're all in the same boat. It's a target. You don't understand, he says. I went OTD. And I wanted to marry the shiksa. And my father threw me out of the house and he said, if you're marrying the shiksa, she's going to hurt you one day. And I didn't believe him, and we had the greatest life. I had a few children with her. And then when the Nazis a few days ago came knocking on every door, on every German door, are you hiding a Yid? Says, my own kids and my wife said, he is a Jew. They couldn't resist that moment. My wife and my kids turned me into the Nazis, and that's why I'm here. I told the story to this guy. He says, I'm not convinced. She would never do it on me. I said, you know what? Would she convert for you? That's a conversion. She would do anything for you. Let her convert. Your father is old-fashioned. Let her convert. She would never do it. He calls me up the next day. I broke off the shidduch. Sometimes a little bit of knowledge could do a lot of things. It cut off, it severed such a deep love that he had for her. Knowledge is power. If we want our kids to make smart choices, okay, the kids are not always ready to hear what we have to say, but at least the skips or the other kids, if you want the future to survive in Klal Yisrael, it's not going to work anymore robot chinuch. Do it because this is what we do, and this is. Encourage questions. So you should be able to fill them up with knowledge. As much knowledge as you can. Jewish pride even. Focus nicht. It's how proud it's on Ayid. You know how beautiful Klal Yisrael is? Let's not talk about that. For skip, by the way, for kips, that's the only thing that works. Talk to them about the Yidden are the smartest nation and we create all the technology, and which is true. You know how many medicines come out of Yidden? And the whole world is studying. There's hundreds of thousands of students around the world trying to understand one line in Einstein was going Ayid. Talk about all the Yidden, the geniuses. This is not our real pride. Our real pride is the Torah. Being a manifcher, of course. But sometimes for the kips, this works. Put in at least Jewish pride in them. Let them walk around with the Star of David necklace. Or a Star of David tattoo rather than something else over there. This is as much as we can do, and then we hope, obviously, when they're going to be healed one day, Mitzvah Hashem, very soon, then they're going to make smart choices. Life, the future of Klal Yisrael is if we have knowledge, and because the world is giving us permission to make choices. We're making choices which someone told me now, he used to daven Tzvayin Zibitzig, and he just learned the whole, Tzvayin Zibitzig, Rabbi Nitam, the Chassidim, and he went through all the halachas, and he decided that he's not keeping Tzvayin Zibitzig. He's starting Shabbos early, and he's ending Shabbos early. He went through the halachas. He was mataneder. I don't think he has to be mataneder. It's caution. And I said, great. He said, no, you don't understand. He's a chushvinger man. He said his father would not eat from this house anymore. Papa Samachal Shabbos. You're making Avdullah at the Zman that Chabad makes, or the Litvish or the Ekes make, or Vizhnitz, and you're a Shaiget, and you're Michal Shabbos, and Michal Shabbos with Hesia. If you go into your car before 72, I'm not talking to you anymore. These are the Shmura, these are the results from the Shmura Chinuch. I had a meeting with that father. I told him, let's talk about Tzvayin Zibitzik, let's talk about it. Most of Klal Yisrael, most of Hasidim, until World War II, did not keep 72. There was a meeting, you know about it, right? There was a meeting over here in America. Sant Meruv sat together with many others. He's a Tzanz, the Tzanz that kept it, yeah. And he was trying to convince some Rabbunim took upon us. Kvei took upon a different place. In the Heim they didn't keep 72. But it became such a thing to these Shmura people that don't have Bechira, meaning they don't have knowledge. You could keep your stuff. If you want to dress like a certain dress code like your parents, and faket, you should. But at least know why you're doing it. Have that stolz.
It's like when the boys play ball and they tell them you're shaiget, so they think, okay, so if I'm playing ball already, I got to be Michal Shabbos.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm teaching in the yeshiva for Be'er Weber's yeshiva now. Now the yeshiva is actually closed now for the while. We're going to reopen it. But for a couple of years, I was there every Thursday for being with the Bukhim. I was giving them Be'ikar Shkofa. They were asking me all kinds of questions, Yiddishkeit and Normalkeit and Yiddishkeit, everything about life. The Bukhim was saying how hard it is for them the smartphone on Shabbos. I gave a whole shmis. If it would be recorded, I would probably be banned forever. I was telling the Bukhrim the difference between a cigarette and a smartphone. If you cross the line of using a smartphone, which you're not allowed to on Shabbos, it's not even a million miles close of turning on a lighter and lighting a cigarette. This is a pusik chimish, lo yisavari yesh b'chamish. This is you're trying. Other people would take it as if I'm permitting. It's okay to use a smartphone. Chaz v'shula. To me, it's clear that if the Sanhedrin or the Anshe Knesset Gdola would be living today, they would say smartphone is used, even if you can't pinpoint the exact pasuk. Because if you know what Shabbos is meant to be, smartphone is usher. Because when I go on vacation and I leave my cell phone in the hotel room, that's the reason. And by the way, if you do take it with you on vacation, I feel so bad for you. Even subconsciously, even when it's on vibrate, even when it's closed, not every part of your brain is closed. Your flip phone leave in your hotel room when you're going on that walk on vacation. That's enough of a reason. But it doesn't come close to actually being Mechal Shabbos and smoking a cigarette on Shabbos. It's like a timer. So a Bucher came to me and he said, I stopped smoking Shabbos for weeks already. Smartphone, they're so addicted. You know what addiction is? It's an addiction. Baruch Hashem, we have Shabbos, so we don't get addicted to the phone totally. We are addicted somewhat. How many times does a person touch their phone? I don't know the numbers, the studies, crazy what it's doing to us. But again, it's a new thing. Like every new thing, it takes time till till humans figure out how to use and not to abuse an item. And this is such a big thing, it's going to take longer. But our children, the next generation, is going to, or us in a few years from now, are going to know exactly how to use technology in a healthy way. This is called teaching them how to make Bechira. But if you come in and you say, if a Bechira, you're going to look like Bet Shemesh with a smartphone. It's going to be the same exact thing. They're all going to be smoking a Shabbos. If you save the Bechira one cigarette, one Shabbos, you save the whole world. Shabbos? I'm not talking about the real kips. We know that, right? I'm just talking about in between, the way we call them, the gray area. I'm going to conclude with this, that let's fill ourselves up with knowledge. Let's all become very curious. Let us ask questions on Yiddishkeit. If you like it about the Millah, it's great. Beautiful books, questions and answers, the Q&As, or someone gave out a book now in Yiddishkeit. Some people it's not good, they don't like his style, this Shub Pink is this. There's Aish, there are hundreds of resources today. Let's fill ourselves up with as much knowledge as we can, that we should make smart choices, and Mitzvah our children should make smart choices, and our skips, we're going to fill them up, that they should not also become a kip, Chaz Shulam. They're seeing things, these kids, if you give them knowledge, people always ask, this is the common question by every single Shabbaton we have, right? Yeah. What do we do? But if you bring home a kid, the other kids, I said the opposite. This is giving you an opportunity to give answers to your other kid. Ask me questions. When would you ever sit down with your daughter and discuss about smoking a cigarette? She doesn't smoke or anything. But if she sees her kip sibling living in the house and doing things, you tell her why it's not good. Why is a girlfriend bad? Why is what's without the rachnis tam? What is it doing to their life? But we need to fill ourselves up with answers, and we give them the answers. This is great opportunities to help them get closer. And I'm gonna turn off the video. I want to say this off record, okay?
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.